If Pi officially gets listed on Binance, one of the biggest exchanges in the world, it could be a game changer for price, volume, and adoption. What if I told you that Pi Network could potentially reach the global consensus value of 314.159 when it finally gets listed on Binance? And what if I told you that over 60 million pioneers worldwide are already positioned for what could be the most significant cryptocurrency launch in history? Today, I'm revealing the detailed price analysis that could transform ordinary pioneers into extraordinary success stories. If Pi Network is listed on Binance, the impact on PI's price could be profound, with scenarios ranging from a modest debut to a historic leap into crypto's upper echelons. But beyond the numbers, such a listing would represent a watershed moment in the quest to create a global, people-powered currency. Whether Pi opens at $10, $100, or higher, its true value will ultimately come down to its utility, adoption, and the trust of its community. Stay until the end, because I'll share the insider factors that most people completely overlook when predicting Pi's future value. Let's first greet and welcoming every PI pioneers from every corner of our beautiful planet. Whether you're tuning in from the bustling streets of New York, the vibrant markets of Lagos, the tech hubs of Bangalore, the islands of the Philippines, or anywhere else across our global Pi community, this video is specifically crafted for you. If you're genuinely excited about Pi Network's revolutionary potential, show your pioneer spirit right now by smash subscribe button and ring notification bell, so you never miss every update. Also drop a comment saying Pi Network to the moon along with your country name to create a digital map of our worldwide Pi family and demonstrate the true power of our decentralized community. Let's now get started. Here's what's happening behind the scenes that most people don't fully understand. Pi Network has quietly built something unprecedented in cryptocurrency history. We're not talking about just another digital token here. We're discussing a phenomenon that has attracted over 60 million active miners globally, creating what could be the largest cryptocurrency community ever assembled. This isn't speculation anymore. This is mathematical reality backed by real human engagement. Now, when we talk about a potential Binance listing, we need to understand what we're really discussing. Binance isn't just another cryptocurrency exchange floating around in the digital space. This is the undisputed heavyweight champion of crypto exchanges, commanding a user base that exceeds 150 million people worldwide. That's more than the entire population of Russia or Japan. When Binance decides to list a cryptocurrency, it's not just adding another trading pair to their platform, they're essentially providing a stamp of legitimacy and technical readiness that resonates throughout the entire crypto ecosystem. The moment Pi Network secures a Binance listing, several powerful market forces would immediately spring into action. The increased visibility alone would be staggering, introducing Pi to one of the largest and most active crypto audiences in the world. We're talking about millions of potential buyers and traders who may have been sitting on the sidelines, waiting for exactly this kind of validation before making their move. The liquidity boost would be equally dramatic, with high trading volumes that could enhance price stability and attract the kind of institutional interest that transforms small projects into major players. Let's dive deep into the price scenarios that have the entire Pi community buzzing with anticipation. These aren't just random numbers thrown around by hopeful pioneers. These are carefully analyzed projections based on market dynamics, community strength, and historical cryptocurrency performance patterns. The first scenario envisions Pi launching in the $10 to $50 range, and there's compelling logic behind these numbers. Consider the incredible foundation Pi has already built. This price range represents what many seasoned analysts consider a realistic starting point, driven by the sheer power of community support. When you have tens of millions of pioneers who have been patiently mining and believing in this project for years, the initial demand could be absolutely explosive. These aren't passive investors we're talking about. These are dedicated community members who understand Pi's vision and are ready to support it with real purchasing power. Add to this the speculators and early adopters who always rush toward promising new listings, and you have a recipe for significant price appreciation right from the opening bell. The second scenario explores the $50 to $100 territory, and this is where Pi truly goes mainstream. Reaching this price level would signify that Pi has transcended its pioneer community and captured the imagination of the broader cryptocurrency market. This could happen if Pi Network announces strategic partnerships with major merchants or platforms that accept Pi for real-world payments. Imagine if major e-commerce platforms, retail chains, or service providers suddenly start accepting Pi tokens. The practical utility would drive demand through the roof. Additionally, if the network's decentralized applications and ecosystem utilities gain serious traction quickly, we could see this level of valuation become reality faster than most people expect. The third scenario is where things get historically significant. We're talking about the $100 to $314 range, and this would represent a seismic shift in the cryptocurrency landscape. At this level, Pi Network wouldn't just be another successful crypto project, it would be rewriting the rules of how digital currencies achieve mainstream adoption. This kind of valuation would likely require major institutional adoption, with Pi being recognized as a legitimate means of transaction and store of value by banks, corporations, and financial institutions. We're talking about integration with existing global financial services, payment processors, and remittance networks that handle billions of dollars in daily transactions. The fourth and most ambitious scenario envisions Pi surpassing the global consensus value of $314.159, and this is where Pi would truly become revolutionary. At this level, Pi wouldn't just be a cryptocurrency anymore, it would represent a new global standard of digital currency, potentially reshaping the entire concept of decentralized finance. This could happen through global acceptance of Pi as a universal currency in the digital economy, integration with government-backed digital payment systems or central bank digital currencies, and widespread adoption in both online and offline commerce sectors worldwide. Whether Pi opens at $10 or $300, several critical factors will determine how its price evolves in the post-listing environment. The real-world use cases of Pi will play an absolutely central role in its long-term success. The fundamental question isn't just whether people will buy Pi, but whether they can actually use it for meaningful transactions. Can users spend Pi on goods and services they actually need? Will merchants, developers, and institutions integrate Pi into their daily operations? The more practical utility Pi offers, the higher its value is likely to climb over time. The circulating supply dynamics at launch and the pace at which Pi enters exchanges will create immediate impact on price movements. If the supply is tightly controlled while demand surges from the massive pioneer community, the upward price pressure could be unprecedented. This is basic economics at work, but with the unique twist of having a pre-engaged community that's been building for years. Market sentiment will be absolutely crucial in Pi's price discovery process. Cryptocurrency markets are famously driven by emotion, perception, and momentum. Positive media coverage highlighting Pi's unique approach to accessibility and inclusion could fuel buying pressure that exceeds all rational expectations. Influencer endorsements from respected voices in the crypto space could trigger viral adoption patterns. The enthusiasm and coordination of the pioneer community itself could create a feedback loop of positive sentiment that drives prices to levels that seem impossible today. The regulatory environment in major markets will shape Pi's long-term trajectory more than most people realize. Clear, supportive regulations in key jurisdictions like the United States, European Union, and major Asian markets could enable Pi's growth to accelerate beyond current projections. Conversely, uncertainty or restrictive policies could create headwinds that limit Pi's potential regardless of community support. A Binance listing would represent far more than just price speculation and trading opportunities. It would be a validation of Pi Network's multi-year effort to build something genuinely different in the cryptocurrency space. Pi has been focused on creating a decentralized, accessible, and truly inclusive financial ecosystem that serves real people rather than just sophisticated traders and institutions. Such a milestone would open doors for cross-listings on other major exchanges, encourage further development of Pi's ecosystem of applications and services, and inspire confidence in other emerging projects that prioritize accessibility and decentralization over pure speculation. To truly understand what a Pi network Binance listing could mean, we need to examine the historical precedents that shaped cryptocurrency market dynamics. When we look at previous major exchange listings, particularly on Binance, we see patterns that could provide insight into Pi's potential trajectory. Consider how Binance Coin itself started as a utility token and grew to become one of the top cryptocurrencies by market capitalization. The exchange's track record of identifying and nurturing successful projects suggests that any coin they choose to list has already passed rigorous technical and community evaluation standards. The cryptocurrency market has evolved significantly since the early days of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Today's investors and traders are more sophisticated, more demanding of real utility, and more focused on projects that solve actual problems rather than pure speculation. Pi Network fits perfectly into this evolved landscape because it addresses one of crypto's biggest challenges: accessibility. While most cryptocurrencies require expensive mining equipment or significant technical knowledge, Pi has democratized the mining process through mobile devices that billions of people already own. The true power of Pi Network lies not just in its token price potential, but in the network effects that have been building for years. Every new pioneer who joins the network increases its value exponentially, creating what economists call a positive feedback loop. With over 60 million pioneers already engaged, Pi has achieved something remarkable: a critical mass of users who are genuinely invested in the project's success, not just its price appreciation. This network effect becomes particularly powerful when we consider the ecosystem of decentralized applications being built on Pi Network. Developers worldwide are creating solutions that leverage Pi's unique mobile-first approach and massive user base. From social commerce platforms to peer-to-peer lending services, from gaming applications to digital identity solutions, the Pi ecosystem is expanding in ways that create real demand for the token beyond mere speculation. The merchant adoption potential is equally exciting. Imagine tens of millions of pioneers who already understand and trust Pi suddenly having the ability to spend their tokens at businesses worldwide. This isn't theoretical anymore. Pi Network has been working on partnerships and integrations that could make Pi accepted at online retailers, service providers, and even physical stores. When this utility goes live alongside a Binance listing, the demand dynamics could be unlike anything we've seen in cryptocurrency history. What many people don't realize is that institutional investors and corporate partners have been quietly watching Pi Network's development. The project's focus on regulatory compliance, user verification, and sustainable growth has caught the attention of organizations that typically avoid cryptocurrency projects due to regulatory uncertainty. A Binance listing would signal to these institutional players that Pi has reached a level of maturity and compliance that makes it suitable for serious consideration. The remittance market alone represents a $1 trillion opportunity that Pi could potentially capture. Millions of pioneers in countries with limited banking infrastructure could use Pi to send money across borders more efficiently and affordably than traditional remittance services. This practical utility could drive consistent demand that supports long-term price stability and growth. The social proof aspect is equally important. Pi Network has always been about word-of-mouth growth and community building. When pioneers can finally point to a real market price and say, "This is what Pi is worth," the social sharing and recruitment dynamics could accelerate dramatically. New users who were skeptical about mining a token with no established price might suddenly become very interested when they see Pi trading on the world's largest exchange. If Pi achieves the higher end of price predictions, we're talking about creating significant wealth in regions of the world where traditional investment opportunities are limited. Many Pi pioneers are in developing countries where access to stock markets, real estate investment, or other wealth-building vehicles is restricted. A successful Pi launch could represent a massive transfer of wealth to people who have historically been excluded from major financial opportunities. The impact of a Pi network listing on Binance could be absolutely profound, with scenarios ranging from a strong community-driven debut to a historic leap into cryptocurrency's upper echelons. But beyond all the numbers and projections, such a listing would represent a watershed moment in the quest to create a global, people-powered currency that serves everyone, not just the privileged few.